just think about you all day long. And so that is a good definition of the word eros.
So here are some misunderstandings about romantic love. We think about romance and romantic love. These are some misunderstandings that some may have in their own conceptions. Some may say romantic love is only a myth made up by Hollywood. Mature Christians don't need romance. Does anyone agree with that statement? Mature Christians don't need romance. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We do. I mean, that's why when we see those romantic movies like The Notebook, we just go gaga over it. We love the thought of being romanced by our husband, or husbands by your wife, being romanced by them. There's never a time either one of us wants to walk in the door and think, oh, there's that guy again. Or, oh, there's her. We want to continue to have that romantic feeling. And again, I like the word Pastor George used, is cultivate. It's going to take cultivation on our part to do that. Another myth about romantic love is some review romance love as the lower form of love. You know, I don't know if sometimes you might see kids that are, quote, in love, or maybe young adults, you're like, oh, well, that'll pass, or they just have those love feelings. And that may be in their case, but when we've entered into a marriage, romance definitely isn't a lower form of love. It's something that we should have intertwined in it and balanced out with everything else. Another misunderstanding is some misunderstand romance love with a temporary infatuation. And again, we have experienced maybe temporary infatuation when we were younger and we thought someone was cute, or maybe they made our heart flutter. But once we entered into a romance with our spouse for life, we should continue to cultivate that, and it takes on the form it moves from infatuation to a romance love. One last thing is some write it off as non-existent because they are not experienced in romantic love, or they never have, yet they long for it. It's easier to handle if they think it does not exist. So romantic love, we're going to discuss what the importance it has in our marriage.
You know, and just because somebody hasn't experienced romance love doesn't mean that they can't, right? You may run into somebody that says, yeah, that's only for, for other people. I don't need that. Only because they haven't experienced it. Maybe they were put into, maybe their marriage went quickly, the relationship went quickly into marriage without really having to experience the romance love. And they think, well, we don't need it because we're committed to each other. Well, just because you've never experienced it, or just because they think maybe it's not necessary, doesn't mean that we shouldn't cultivate it. It's something that it makes a marriage alive. And so Eros love makes a marriage exciting. So Eros, why is it important? Have you ever seen the movie Elf? Maybe you guys watch it this week. There's still time. You can rent it and watch it. It's a classic, as we learned through Christmas Spectacular, through the cheers and applause. That movie did receive the most applause in every performance, by the way. So, but in that movie, Alf, he goes out on a date with Jovi. He comes back, barges into his dad's business meeting, and comes in. What does he say?
I'm in love. Yeah. I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it.
He was in love, and that is the Eros love illustrated right there by Will Ferrell and Alf. They're on cloud nine, falling in love, and it's just an exciting thing to have in your marriage, right? We tend to always think that that's part of a dating relationship, but what if we had that in our marriage, right? You can have that. You can have it. It does need to be cultivated. It does need to be built, but you can have that kind of love where you come in like Alf and yell to everybody, I'm in love, I'm in love.
He does it every day.
Your turn.
Oh. So the kind of love, this kind of love definitely has its benefits, and we're going to talk about some of those. First thing is the awe of being desired. The awe of being desired. I don't know anybody in here who doesn't want to be desired by their mate. I don't care if you've been married 2 months, 5 years, 10 years. Again, you want that feeling of walking in the room and having your heart flutter, your eyes light up when you look at this person. This should be the person that does that for me. Your mate, your spouse should be that person. And likewise, I desire that too. I like to know that I'm desired by my husband. There's no other person out there who can do that for me or should be doing that for me. So therefore, it is his job to meet that need with me and likewise me with him. So again, if that's not something maybe maybe it's something that's gone to the wayside in marriage, which can through months of marriage, years of marriage, cats, dogs, in-laws, kids, whoever enters into the marriage with you, sometimes it's hard, to keep that romantic level. That's why we must be proactive in creating the romance, and it should be a challenge. How can I show my spouse that I find them desirable today? The author, Dr. Wheat, states that he has seen patients have a new outlook on life and a sense of well-being. It reduces anxieties and fears. So it's interesting that even on a health level, even on a physical level, it affects us. When we are happy, our overall physical body reaps benefit from that as well. So for those of you who are practical thinkers, there you go. Also, it brings out the best in us. We shower, we dress up, I mean, really, think about when you first met this person. You wanted to put your best foot forward, right? When you went out on a date, you're thinking, okay, what am I going to wear tonight? Or at the very least, where are we going to eat? It wasn't something that was just, well, let's just see where it goes. You wanted this person to find you desirable, and likewise, you wanted to show that as well. I think of that movie, The Titanic, when Jack Dawson boards this ship, and he's just he wins this trip on the Titanic, fly-by-night thing. He ends up there, and he looks at this beautiful woman and decides, this is the woman for me. He goes all out. He finds some good duds to wear. He brings on the charm. I mean, he romances her. This is something that we should do in our everyday life. Obviously, I don't want to be on the Titanic, and that should not be our goal, but again, look at it as a challenge. And when your husband's coming home, maybe spritz up your hair a little bit and give him a smile. I've shared how when George comes to the door, it used to bother me because I'd be cooking and he would come to the door and the dogs would run to the door and they'd be jumping up to greet him. My kids would run to the door and be jumping up to greet him. I'm like, this is something I should be doing. I should be the first one to greet this man at the door and say, I am so glad you're home. And let the romance cultivate. Keep it going that way. Guys, flowers, notes, whatever. Be creative. Obviously, you've won your wife's heart. You're quite capable of doing it. So dig down deep and think, what can I do today to show this woman that she's desired? And likewise, wives, we can do the same. Maybe it's a fishing excursion or a long hike. I don't know. That's what's so fun about it. Only you are going to know what's going to put that light in your husband or your wife's eye. Only you. So take it on as a challenge today. Every marriage should start with this Eros love and should keep it in their marriage.
Good hygiene, guys. Your wives with your sheds.
A toothbrush could be a mighty thing.
Shower at least once a week. So, falling in love is also good medicine. If a couple has had many struggles, they can't be around each other because they just get on each other's nerves, making it a goal that they would fall in love again with their spouse is a good prescription for that couple, right? Maybe they have fallen out of love, and so they're in this cycle, that they don't even want to be around each other anymore. They should make it their goal to fall in love. They should make it their goal that, they may not be like Will Ferrell and Elf and, spin around and say, I love you, but they can still fall in love with their spouse. Like the things that Edeen was talking about, the desire to want to impress them, to grab their attention and to let them know that they have chosen them, right? We want to know that somebody has chosen us, and your spouse wants to know that too, that you have chosen them. And the way we do that is with some of the things that Edeen just talked about. So, Edeen has a question she wants to ask us.
I thought it would be fun just for a few minutes to go around the round tables. I want to have you guys brainstorm a little bit. The question is, so how can a couple make themselves fall in love and create this Eros love? So think about, even if you can't think of something now, think about things you did maybe even way back when at the beginning and things that you can transfer into now. So just a few minutes, come up with maybe 2 or 3 that you can share from your table, and we'll come back in just a few minutes.
Now we're talking.
I get up. Is this really funny time for that kind of?
He's the person that
It was 37 this morning.
We should go camping sometime. Take the beds down. Oh, I'm still thinking.
I find that if I think one of the things that I just think about Sarah,
Oh, yeah.
Snuggling.
Things that you do like when you're dating, you think about your dating all day long, right? That's all that's on your mind. And then married for however many years, you got things to do again. I have a class I have a friend who he wrote on his door in his garage whenever you come in from his car, and he said, don't give my wife seconds. How about you? He always had that up. And he's ready to start over, right? Like he's 100%, just woke up, ready to go in and take it. So I always appreciate that. Little thing he did on his door after that. I was going to say that's the last.
I think for me, because I'm incessant playing, like trying to play, like even if we have a date, like playing like far ahead. Or whatever, you know, and so for me, it's trying to keep spontaneous. She comes home and do something totally unexpected. Sometimes it gets too much a hold and not get able to do that one.
Sometimes it's trying to be
spontaneous.
too long.
So you plan to be spontaneous?
One more minute.
I write my calendar to be spontaneous. Yeah, exactly. Just gotta be starting at 10.
Friday, Saturday, spend time
Schedule.
after 10
Okay, everybody, are you finished? Sorry to interrupt. It's always hard to interrupt when you're having such good conversation. So I'm going to go around the tables and ask for one or two maybe that you came up with. How can a couple make themselves fall in love? Let's start with Rich and Michelle's table here. You guys come up with anything?
We talked about just doing things unselfishly. You know, you just do it just because you know that they like it. Doesn't matter how you feel about it, but you want to make them happy. You want to please them. So it's kind of an unselfish type of attitude towards that.
That's good. Many of which we did in the beginning of our courtship, right? I would watch George work on a car for hours, even though I have no interest, but just be with him. I kid you not. And now I don't know if I would do that. So I'm just being real, so that's why.
But you did do it, remember? I changed the brakes in the car. She
And it
stood
was
out there.
so hard. But we're being honest, right? And this is, again, this is why it's going to take work. It's going to take cultivation. It's going to take me, you know,